Hi everyone, it's Desert Rose. This video is going to be an open discussion on the Tarot of the Nymphs. This is the box that it comes in. I'm not keeping it in a box. I do have the extra cards in here. So this one and the Los Scarabeo cards. I'm not calling this a review just yet. I may do one in the future, but I do have some things that I thought were interesting about the deck and things, well, my thoughts and impressions on the deck. So I love the backings, and I would consider this an ultimate soul deck of mine, and I just feel like whenever I saw it, it just was flowing, like flowing watery energy, and it's not surprising because it's the Tarot of the Nymphs, but also it was, well, when I had this idea of like an ultimate soul deck, it embodies different aspects of me, and it really complements the reader. And I feel like, especially with these backings, I just feel like it just goes with me. So not quite aquatic, and it's not the most feminine backings, but the other side with the actual pictures, they're obviously feminine images, and this is more of a feminine, watery deck. I would say that this is more masculine, the backings, just because there's such sharp details to it, which I found really interesting. Because if you could see the little flowers here and the more oval womb shape here, I feel like if it had more of that, then it wouldn't complement the deck as much, but these are absolutely perfect for it. And I wasn't expecting to have the blue borders. I thought that they were, well, when I saw them online, they looked on the whiter side, or more, maybe more of a cream, but I'm definitely digging them. So this came in a sturdier Los Scarabeo box. So I got this off of Amazon, where I get most of my mass-produced decks, and it's been on my list for a long time, and I have said this from time and time again, that I hold off on getting mass-produced decks because I want to make sure that I get the self-published ones. And because I did get another deck that had, I would like to say, more nudity. It was more erotic than this deck. And I'm going to get into the book, but it does mention that it doesn't have a sensual, it's not supposed to relay a sensual feeling when you have the deck or when you're reading off of the deck, and it does make sense with that. So I do keep it in here. I actually made this yesterday. This is one of my favorite cloths that I got from Joann's. They do have other backgrounds for this cloth. So there's purple and there's pink. I didn't see other colors. And then I lined it with more of a salmon color thread with a cording, a white cording. This one is a hemp cord, white one. So this is hand sewn, and it's really interesting how this is the only cloth that I seem to always have to adjust whenever I'm sewing something, and then the dimensions are off in some way, and I keep having to go back, and I don't have that problem with other cloths that I have, and I do have quite a few. If you've seen my last two tarot bag reveal videos where I showed some of the cloths that I have gotten from Joann Fabrics. And these are just the gorgeous backings. And it just matches my hair so well. And this is the hair that I like to keep because sometimes I do get the urge to want to change my hair color, to have like, say like, I do like brown in my hair. So, especially during the warmer months, and I have gotten that urge a couple of times since I recently moved down south where my husband's from. So, it only lasts for a while, or not a little bit, and then I want to be back to red again. So this is a safe color for me, and I feel like it really brings out my personality. So I'm going to do a walkthrough, although my dear friend Tamara from on Instagram, she did a flip through of these cards, and I'll link that below too, because I posted an image online saying that if anybody had this deck, could they do a flip through of it, because there isn't a lot of information about this deck in general. And the videos that are on YouTube, it's hard to see. So this is the little white book. I'm thinking this could be an older version, or an older deck from Lo Scarabeo, mainly because the cardstock is thinner. The most recent ones that I've noticed, maybe it's just specific decks, that they have this nice, on the slightly thicker cardstock. This, as I said, it's on the thinner side, but definitely workable, and I feel like this will be a deck that I can wear in. I did bring out earlier I brought out the Native American Tarot by Lo Scarabeo, and, these are both Lo Scarabeo, and the Ludi Lescott specifically, and also the Tarot of the Secret Forest. They all have similar thicker cardstock, even though it's not the thickest. It's thick, compared to the other ones they have, I guess. So I didn't mind it, and I feel like I'll benefit from it in the future. At first I was a little taken back, but definitely wasn't shying away from the deck from it. It's easy to shuffle, so I do shuffle my cards a lot, so as long as I could shuffle it. Also, Lo Scarabeo has a really nice size for cards. And another reason why I was saying that it could be an older edition is because the book is more in-depth than other books that I have from them. So, it doesn't really offer a lot of information. It briefly goes through the cards, and occasionally they do touch up on different things that are in the card. But overall, I'm more pleased with this book than other ones. I don't think I'll be using it, but it's always nice to have. I did like their spread. So there's spreads in the front, and these are the symbolism things for the court cards. And if you haven't had a Lo Scarabeo deck, they come in different languages. Occasionally they have them on the cards, which people usually don't like. I don't mind, and this deck does not, which you'll see in the flip through. So from this spread, I more shortened it or revised it in my own way to make it short and understandable, just to skim through it. So there's 5 cards here, and you can read through that, but basically the first card, which is the root, starting from the bottom and then going to the top, is the unconscious. The second card is the trunk, and I did underline only this one, really. Well, occasionally on other ones, but the meaning stuck well to it. So, presents our situation as it currently exists, and in its visible characteristics as it appears from the outside, and the effect that it has on us and on others. I also included that this could be an environment card too. So the third card is the limp, which is overall the conscious and mind. And you can change these up however you would like to. I just thought that it was a nice spread. I don't know if I'll use this often because I usually like using spreads that take up less space. And even though it's only 5 cards, the way that it's laid out, it's not as, I guess, convenient. I don't really want to use that word, but lack for a better thought word. If you're doing a reading on a smaller surface. Sorry, I'm just checking to see if my time would go up, if I had a limit, because I did delete a lot of pictures and videos and apps off of this phone, so I have a lot more space. The fourth card represents it's the flowers and what will help you, the inspiration that will guide us, the encouragement, or even the obstacles that we will face. So that kind of reminded me of the gift in the tarot spread from the Tarot of the Hidden Realm book. So that's more of a fairy themed deck. And the fifth card is the fruit, which is the completion card, and you can also link it to the future and outcome. So completion of the path with the nymphs, those sweet mistresses of the youth of the soul want for us. I'll briefly go through a meaning of the card when I pull out a card towards the end. I'm already at 12 minutes. I'm hoping I can do this within half an hour, but I do have quite a lot to say. First and foremost, well, it's already 12 minutes in, but one of the main things that I was really curious about was the mythology behind it, because I did see the images, and I was really drawn to it because I really liked that feminine, really bare type of imagery. So there's a lot to resurface in that. And so nymphs, usually I've seen them in Greek mythology. They did mention classic mythology, the nymphs called the Undines in Germanic tradition represent the archetype of nature and youth, female spirits linked to water. And unlike the dryads of the trees and the snipes of air, they embody the beauty of the fountainhead springs and brooks, and delicate and fertile, pure and elusive, profound and empathetic. I don't think that they needed to say the dryads of the trees and the snipes of the air. Undines is spelled with an O here, so that could be another spelling of it. I usually see it with a U. I'm thinking that I do see the associations with the elemental, the Undines. So I'm familiar with them, which I thought that was nice. So if you guys want to read this, it's this part, the first page, and it tells background information. So they do bring up Germanic tradition, which nymphs, they can be found throughout different mythologies, so that wasn't necessarily a thing that surprised me. But as I was looking through the images, I thought that they were really feminine overall because it's a feminine deck. It is a feminine deck, but also because I usually see Greek mythology being more masculine, and you kind of get the feel and the look with the imagery on the cards of what type of mythology they used. And I was curious, but I also, once I really started to use the deck, I figured out that it was mainly Greek mythology. I'm sorry, mainly Germanic mythology. So I really like that. I do find that Germanic traditions and well, energetically they seem more feminine, and even more so than Celtic mythology. So I really like that. I feel like it was really suiting for this. Also, you know what? I'm gonna flip through the cards while I'm talking because I've been talking for a while. I was also curious about the wings because based off of like characteristics that you would usually read about nymphs, um, they're usually alluring maidens off of streams, rivers, forests, etc. But and they're also the size of humans, so also luring men. They don't say anything that I've seen about having wings. I'll look more into it. But also, I don't really see nymphs as having wings. That is definitely more of a fae feature. And there's also this part of like the process of winged insects where there's the nymph. And I was thinking there's no correlation to that because nymphs, that growth process is when adults reach their, well, the insect reaches their adult body, but they don't have wings. So there's definitely lacking there. So it definitely piqued my interest. So I asked, or yeah, I was consulting the deck. Well, I don't want to say consulting. I was getting to know the deck and communicating with it, and I was asking them, what would you like me to, refer to you as if you wanted me to? And they said that they would like for me to call them a fairy nymph hybrid because fairies and nymphs are different. A lot of times they get mistaken for being in the same category. So, I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. I have some things that I jotted down because I had a lot to talk about. Well, I said the main things, so I'll keep going with now focusing more on the deck. So you see that the elements are changed. These are the wands. They're mushrooms. And then the pentacles are sunflowers. Swords are the same. And the cups look more like bowls. As you could see, there's a lot of nudity in here. And at first I was a little worried that it might be a bit plain for me because sometimes I would admit that one of my personality traits is that I can get bored easily, so I didn't want to get this deck and then, it wouldn't work for me. But there's so much imagery, and although it's plain, well, it may seem plain, there's a lot more than meets the eye. I really love this High Priestess one. There's a lot going on there. And it looks like she has one of those bowls from the cups too with the symbol on it, and she's reading. which is part of the growth process of learning and experiencing. So looking down, there isn't communication with the eyes, so going within. But it's a very pleasant deck. It's very kind and gentle, but I was really surprised about how direct the messages were. If I didn't pass my first card draw, I'll show you guys what I got. The deck is matte cardstock, smoother than the other ones that I have. Well, at least the Native American Tarot. So the first card draw that I got is the Knot of Swords. Also, I asked if it was my soul deck, and it responded after shuffling it a couple of times with the Knot of Swords too. So it was later in the evening when I constantly was shuffling it, because I shuffle my decks a lot. So I'll read the Knot of Swords for you guys. You are protected by the word and by intelligence. Always learn more about how to express and understand the qualities of the world and the soul. It is truly difficult to resist the charm of intelligence. So I really like that. And it's definitely one of those firm, direct messengers that I was talking about that you can confide in this deck, and it'll give you the answers that you need. It's more quick. It doesn't go too much into detail if you don't want to, which is something that I thought was really helpful. I wanted something that was easy to follow, especially for the client. And if I wanted to do a quick reading, I could. I didn't have to go that deep into it. And I would say that a lot of my decks tend to be non-traditional in terms of symbolism. So there's definitely more digging for a lot of them. And sometimes you are in a place and you don't have a lot of time, so this is great for that. And even though recently I've acquired quite a few decks that were more on the Rider-Waite, traditional Rider-Waite Smith imagery, it's mainly for my tarot school, and I'm using this for my tarot school too, to work towards my certification, which I'm over halfway done, and I'm really glad because I'm so excited. You can also go into the wings, seeing the colors and what catches your eye. And there's a sense of gentleness there too, when it's just looking down, and the horse looks like it's smiling. It's a little aged, and it wants to guide this nymph down the stream. This one looks European to me. I thought that was so clever with the infinity sign at the top. I'm sorry, I'm on the floor. So I'm trying to change positions of my leg. Definitely maternal. And I'm getting, I keep saying gentle, but a gentle crone out of this deck. It checks off my boxes for my soul deck search. The wings definitely helped, because if the wings weren't there, I'm not sure if I would have gotten it. And my foot's falling asleep, so I might have to pause it. because it's one of those the grainy type of falling asleep, so I'm trying to act natural, but right now it's sensitive. But I'm too high for my couch. My couch is high as it is, but you see a lot of chins when I place my phone on the table, but even though I stacked it, and it's not the highest. So I'm going to do some shuffling with it so you guys can get an idea of the cardstock and overall capabilities of it. But I think the Little White Book is one of like those helpful little white books that you can get with any deck, really, especially the low Scarabeo ones when they don't really offer some information or a lot of information. And it's not one of those low Scarabeo decks or low Scarabeo books where it goes completely like into riddle mode, but you can like go assume what they're trying to say. But I think there was like easier ways to say what they were saying. It kind of sounded like one of those fortune cookie type of meanings that you might as well just say something directly, but I understand that you have to go within or go into your onto your own path and journey and figure out things. So that could also be part of it too. It's so calm. Its demeanor. I love this Eight of Swords. It's just so pleasant, but you can get the feeling off of it. It was just bursting with watery energy when I opened the package, and it came super sealed, like the actual box, and there was a lot of opening for this one, but it was nice that the person really cared for it getting here safely, so I appreciated that. And I also wanted a deck that had clear imagery too, because some of my decks, which I love, they look more painted. This looks painted too, but the lines are more defined. I don't need them too defined because I do like line work, but some of them they did a lot better in like the daytime where you could actually see the detail in it, in the painting, or make out what shapes it's making or whatever the deck imagery had to offer. So another way you could shuffle is this way. Let me see if I could do it off the side so you guys could see. So you could do it like that, which is one of my favorite ways to shuffle. I think it would have looked better if I did it more forward, so there's that. And I'm actually going to do a reading with this deck so you guys could see how it is. I'm thinking of a question. Because I'm trying to not do something so close to my life. So... And I'll spread them out like this, if you guys could see. And funny enough, I actually learned how to properly do this in the Faeries Oracle, the Brian Froud, and Jessica Macbeth. Beautifully written, I love that book. How to spread it out correctly, which it was like the main thing that I was doing wrong. I kept my hand on the surface, and obviously there's some surfaces that are more suitable for this than others. This might be a little morbid, but I chose this one because I was curious. So will my senior husky make it around the time of the move for when we move to Salem? So I'll pull out the 5 cards because I'm doing the spread out of the book. And I'll rearrange them when I put these cards. When I stack the cards. Starting from the root and then going into the fruit and flowers. So the cards that I got were for the roots card, I got the 7 of Wands. And then for the environment card, I'm using this as, which is the trunk, I have the Ace